So I'm gonna let you into a little secret. Most of my clients that move to Charlotte don't actually buy a house in Charlotte. What they're actually looking for is one of the Charlotte suburbs. And this video, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and unpack one of the best suburbs here in Charlotte, which is actually in South Carolina, which is Fort Mill, South Carolina. So if that's you, stick around, we're gonna get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe and bell notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market conditions. Right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, my name is Dean and I get calls, text messages, emails every single day from people just like you, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking about making that move in 9 days or 90 days, go ahead and reach out to me, give me a call, send me a text, email, or there'll be a link in the description below to schedule a Zoom call so we can meet face to face. I would love the opportunity to help you and your family make that move to Charlotte a smooth one. So one of the fastest growing suburbs right here in Charlotte is Fort Mill. Now Fort Mill is just across the state line, so it is actually in South Carolina. So there is some pros on living in South Carolina. But I want to unpack today commute times, the local economy, top employees. I want to go ahead and talk about activities that you can do in and around the Fort Mill area, and really just kind of unpack so you get an idea on what actually life is like here in one of the Charlotte suburbs of Fort Mill. So if that's you, stick around, we're going to chop it up right now. So the red dotted line that you're seeing in front of you is actually the town of Fort Mill. So it's not a huge place. Right now, the population is slightly under 30,000, but don't let its size fool you. It has a ton of things to do in Fort Mill, strong economy, and it's very family orientated. But if you drive into the uptown area of Charlotte, let me just pull it in so you can kind of get a gauge on how far it is. That drive straight shot is gonna take you about 25 minutes. Now, that does not include any traffic. We do have some traffic on 77 that you'll take into consideration, but there you go. 25 minutes, you have 24 minutes. Now, if you're driving uptown Monday through Friday during that rush hour peak, you're actually gonna be looking at somewhere between anywhere north of 45 minutes, depending on how the traffic goes that particular day on there. Now, the next thing that you'll really kind of notice is the state line. Now, the state line between North and South Carolina around the Charlotte area, it's not straight. It does look more like an inverted V, and you can see the line right here between North and South Carolina. Now, its distance to get across the state line is just about a 5-minute drive once you're on the freeway. Fort Mill has 4 exits off Highway 77, that main artery that runs north to south on there. So some great fun things to do for you and your family when you're in Fort Mill. And I'll scroll in a little bit so you can see it. But right downtown Fort Mill, we have a main street. Now there's some restaurants and some microbreweries on there, and there's some retail, a short number of retail stores. None of the retail stores are franchised, they're all locally owned, so you will get to enjoy some of the local products that are sold here in Fort Mill. Now at the bottom of Fort Mill, just about a 5-minute walk, you're actually gonna hit Walter Elijah Park. Now Walter Elijah Park is a huge park. It's got a play area for the kids, swing set, climbing frames. It's actually got a trail that walks around it, so you get a lot of people doing exercise, running, walking around Walter Elijah Park. There is a small amphitheater that's outdoor that was built a couple years back, so they actually have a summer series of local musicians. No, you're not going to see Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce in the audience there. This is more small bands, local bands. They have bluegrass, they have country, they have 80s rocks, and they do a summer series. So once a week, they'll have people down there. There's food trucks that come. It's a great place for the family. You can go down, grab some lawn chairs, some blankets, sit down, let the kids run around and just hang out and just connect with your family and your friends. It's just a really great place, Walter Elijah. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit different, but still in the same swim lane of outdoor activities, You'll notice right now as I scroll out, surrounding Fort Mill, there's a lot of greenery. Now, this is mainly due to Anne Springs, and I'll just hover over it so you can. The Springs family used to own Fort Mill. They've left a lot of the areas undeveloped. It's a natural greenway and it's protected, so you can never have development on there. So if you're living on the north side of Fort Mill, specifically in that Springfield area, you'll get to enjoy the Springs as well. But Fort Mill's not a huge place. It's just a few minutes drive from everywhere around. Now, what's a little bit different with Anne Springs is you can have, there is walking trails, there is bike riding trails, there is horse trails. So there's a lot of activities that go on there. It does have Lake Hagler as well. So it's a natural, if you like fishing, it's a natural lake that they have there. It's a catch and release and it's full of stock in there. So it's a great place to go out and just hang out there and just kind of just get away from the hecticness of, I guess, Charlotte and life in general, but you can really enjoy that Anne Springs and what that has to offer. Now, they also have a cafeteria there as well, so you can make a day of it. Lots to do there and parks and things to see. Very popular for a wedding, outdoor wedding venues. And there is, of course, a summer series there of concerts that they do as well. Again, you won't see any huge artists there. It's just more local people there as well. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, actually, if we just back up and talk again about Walter Elijah Park, just south of the downtown area, between the downtown area and Walter Elijah, there's a small grass area that does farmers markets on Saturday mornings. So you're going to get local produce that's sold there. You're going to get more arts and crafts, soaps, perfume, candles, things of that nature. But it's a great time that you can actually just walk around, grab a coffee, meet some of the locals there and some of the products that they're actually selling there as well. So that's really good. Those two parks, highly recommended. Now, as you can see right here in Fort Mill, we do have a lake, and that is Lake Wiley. It's connected through the Catawba River. So if you like, there is public access in Fort Mill if you don't have a property on the lake to kayak. There's kayak launches. There's also boat launches there as well. So Lake Wiley is a huge lake. We've spent many afternoons in the summer just cruising around Lake Wiley, lots to see and do. What I like about it is you get to see Fort Mill and TDK from a different perspective. You can drive around the neighborhoods and the communities all you like, but it's just a different point of view when you get on the lake and you're seeing from the lake outwards. Some of the properties that are out there on the lakefront are absolutely spectacular. So if you're looking for that kind of lifestyle, Fort Mill and TDK does offer that for you. Fort Mill does have its own strong economy. There's some big major companies that move to Fort Mill. Now, if you're living anywhere in and around the Fort Mill area, if you get off exit 160 on 77, you'll see immediately, if you're going from the south side of town, it's on the right-hand side of the road, you'll see immediately what's called Kingsley. Kingsley is a new-ish area. It's been developed for the past couple of years. It's mainly restaurants in there, some really good restaurants in there as well. Napa's in there, Spices in there as well, and the Chop House, some great restaurants. But within that area as well, there's actually three really big companies. You've got LPL Financial, you have Amerisource Bergen, and you have Sunbelt Rental Offices. They have an office in there. So those three big companies. Now, on the directly facing Kingsley, on the other side, there's a small business park there as well that has Domtar. Domtar is a huge company that used to make paper for printers. They switched their product slightly. They make adult diapers now. I'm not going to get too much into that, but that's what they produce now. And they're some of the largest employees in and around. Now, we also have Comporium. Comporium is our internet and data service provider in York County. They do have a bit of a monopoly on York County. They're the only internet provider throughout of the whole York County. But it's a good service provider. They have good products on there and they're reasonably priced, but they do have a bit of a monopoly on there. And they do have a lot of people that work for them as well. So they do support the local community as well. Shutterfly is another employee that's just off 77. If you're not familiar with Shutterfly, you might have seen their commercials on TV. You send them your pictures and they print them. They make Christmas cards. They have a huge operation center there as well. Stanley Black & Decker, also off 77. I'm sure you're familiar with Stanley Black & Decker. They have an absolutely ginormous distribution center right off the Carowinds Boulevard there as well. So they're a huge employee there as well. And we do have Wells Fargo. There's a mortgage office here in Fort Mill. So again, you don't have to travel anywhere uptown. There's a lot of employment here locally. If you are traveling uptown, we kind of talked about commute times. But if you're working in the Ballantyne area as well, what's really good about Fort Mill is you can travel to the Ballantyne, South Charlotte area without even touching Highway 77. And let me just explain that. So you see right here where we are in Fort Mill, the main road is 160. If you go directly east, you will run into Indian Land. Indian Land is an extension of Fort Mill, but it's actually across the county line. It's in Lancaster County. But it's only a short drive, and when you hit 521, you just go directly north. And as you can see, Ballantyne is immediately north. So it's a very, very easy commute. Now the road on 160, there is businesses on there as well, like Movement Mortgage are there. So that road does get some traffic, but it's a lot less than, let's say, 77. So if you're living in Fort Mill and commuting to Ballantyne, you don't have to take 77 at all. And probably I would recommend that you don't, depending on where you live in Fort Mill. So a really strong economy here in Fort Mill. So house prices has been a hot topic here in Fort Mill over the past couple of years because the house prices have increased higher than the average in the Charlotte metro area. To give you an idea, the Metro Charlotte area right now has a median house price of just a little bit over $400,000. Fort Mill is just slightly under $460,000, and that figure has been growing year over year. Last year, from 2023 to right now in 2024, the price increase has just been a little bit over 3%. Now, that might not seem much, but taking consideration the transition in the market that we've had and the high interest rates of almost 8%. So typically we've been growing 6 to 7% year over year. This has been a slower than normal year, but there is reasons for that as well. So we are still expecting growth here in Fort Mill. Now, to give you an idea on the home prices, if you're looking for something somewhere between the $350,000 and the $400,000 price point, you're really going to be looking at closer to downtown Fort Mill. Most of the homes around the downtown area, not in subdivisions, they were mid-century builds. They're smaller in square feet, somewhere between 1,200, 1,300, all the way to 2,000 square feet. They do have a lot of character, a lot of charm. The lot sizes are going to be a little bit bigger, and you're also going to be in walking distance to all the amenities that we've been talking about here in Fort Mill downtown. So you do have all of that. Now, if you're looking to get more into a traditional subdivisions, you're really looking at the high fours, low fives as an entry point to a subdivision. But there's 3 subdivisions I really wanted to talk about, and these 3 are the most hottest subdivisions in all of Fort Mill. They're all very similar, but they do have their unique advantages. So you cannot mention Fort Mill without talking about Baxter Village. Baxter Village was a master plan community, over 1,700 homes. It broke ground right around the turn of the century, right around 2000. And they stopped building around 5 years ago. So somewhere between 2016, something like that. But it's a very, very, very unique community. It has a school in there, an elementary school, Orchard Park. It has the YMCA. They have its own little downtown area, which is called Market Street. You have restaurants on there. There's a couple of wine bars and a pub on there. There's also a Starbucks. Who doesn't like Starbucks? They have it in there. It's a very small community feel, even though the community itself is pretty big. It is a golf cart community, so you don't be too surprised if you see the residents driving around within the community on golf carts versus the cars or walking. It's built around a trail system, so there's miles and miles of trail systems. It's got 2 different pools. One has a 0 entry for the younger kids. One has a more of a lane pool, should I say. And there is a swim team within Baxter called the Barracudas for the young kids. that compete over the summer months in there. They do have a summer concert series in there as well. So Baxter Village is very, very unique. Now the price points in Baxter, it's really going to get in the very, very low sixes just to get in here. So I'll just show you something that's, here is Baxter right now. This property is, let's have a look at this one so you can kind of get a see. You can kind of see the style of the homes, smaller lots, very southern tradition. This property is right around 3,000 square feet. A lot of the builds here in this community, this one was done in 2000. Yep, this one's right at 3,000 square feet on there. Let's have a look what else Baxter's got to offer right now. There is a few different builders within this neighborhood. This one's actually a David Weekley. There is a Salzy Burbank that we're in here as well. So as you can kind of see the style of the house, very traditional Southern style homes. The streets are mature tree-lined streets in there as well. You do get the different colors of the houses, governed by the HOA, of course. So people are painting their houses different colors, but it's kind of like that Charleston kind of style. The Rainbow Row, where a lot of the houses are in different colors. Great little community there as well. So let's get off on Baxter Village. So Baxter Village is just off Highway 160. Now another community that's north is Springfield. We've talked a little bit about the Ann Springs Greenway, but there's actually a huge subdivision in there. This again has pool, it has trails that you can walk on. It does have tennis courts in there as well. It's actually a very big tennis court community. But the unique feature about Springfield is that it's actually built on and around a golf course, Springfield Golf Course. Now the house prices on there are very similar to Baxter Village. Really the low 600s, but they do go up to multiple seven figures. So this property right here, let's just pull this one up to give you an idea. This one's listed just a little bit over 1.2. Looks like the owners have already moved out on this one. Nice study. They're updated, fireplace, built-ins, open floor plan, nice open kitchen. So that'll give you an idea of what 1.2 will get you. This property was built in 2016. Really big property. So it's just slightly over 3,500 square feet on that one. Let's see if Springfield's not a lot going on in Springfield right now. Let's see what else we've got. Let's see, that one's still on the market. This one looks like it's got a pool. Let's have a look at this one. This one's a big house. It's probably a basement. So I'll touch a little bit on basements here. This one was built in 2017. It's 5,000 square feet. Now, as you can see right out the gate, of course, we've got a nice, beautiful Oasis style pool, but you'll see the basement. Because the Carolinas has red clay soil, we don't have basements in the traditional sense that you might be familiar with, especially if you're coming from the Northeast. Because of the porous clay and the shifting in the red clay, all basements out here are going to be what we call walkout basements. So this house, you'll probably look at it from the back and see a 3-story house. The front will probably just look like a traditional 2-story house. So that's kind of the what a basement lot is going to look like in the Carolinas. But this house, beautifully updated, beautiful backsplash, countertops, double oven, nice flooring throughout. They've got the hood range there, really nice open floor plan. So that's something that's going to be available in Springfield. This one's actually, is this one under contract? Yeah, this one's under contract. So these neighborhoods that I'm going to talk to you about, they do go under contract very quickly. It's almost like they have its own housing market within the Fort Mill housing market. But last but not least that I want to talk about, it's a newer subdivision. And this one's actually called, scrolling out here. This one's called Mason's Bend. Let's see what's available here in Mason's Bend right now. So there's a few different builders in Mason's Bend. This is a community that's newer, typically has bigger homes. There is some homes that start around 2,500 square feet, but they go all the way up to like 5,000 square feet. As far as the amenities in Mason's Bend, you don't have quite the same amenities as Springfield and Baxter Village. You do have a pool, a community pool in there, and there's a lot of trails off the Catawba River, which are really fun as well. But there isn't too much outside of that. But this home right here, you can see it's just slightly under 800,000. It's 3,000 square feet. Let's have a look at the insides. Well, that's not a very good picture. Well, the exterior one right here of the porch, very, very common. There is a school in Mason's Bend. You can see it right in the background here on the right-hand side. It's the King School here as well. And these pictures, although the place is good, it looks like they weren't taken by a professional photographer, or if they were, they've got the format wrong, which is disappointing. But you can see enough just to get an idea. This beautiful ceiling that they have here as well, the fireplace. Done a really good job. Now these houses, like I say, they stopped building about a year. They're just wrapping up, but between now and the past 12 months, some of the builders are just wrapping up there. It's a really popular community. So if you are thinking about typical subdivisions here in Fort Mill, Springfield, Baxter Village, and Mason's Bend are 3 of the hottest subdivisions right now. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Truly is my heart just to kind of help people that are moving to the Charlotte area, just to know about the different suburbs. So if you are thinking about making that move, 9 days, 90 days, however long it might be, go ahead, reach out to me. You can give me a call, send me a text or email, or we can of course meet face-to-face on Zoom. I would love to be your agent of choice and make that smooth move to Charlotte for you and your family. So until next time, I'll see you around town, and God bless.